Hello, Australia. It's episode 8 of the Layback Podcast. I'm Jackson Allen, and this is a podcast about Australian climbers and their stories. Actually, in this episode, I sit down with Andy Pollitt, originally from Wales, who emigrated to Australia in the early 90s after he came down here for a few long stints at Arapiles. As usual, this podcast was filmed and you can find it on YouTube. Links are available on thelayback.com. Andy Pollitt grew up in North Wales and was kind of the rock star of British climbing in the 80s. Andy's climbing epitomised that really bold British style that you may have heard of. It would be impossible for me to cover all of Andy's exploits in just one podcast, and we focus on a few in-depth stories of him soloing the Great Wall and another experience that he had, quite a tense one, of climbing the Bells, where, as he describes it, his skin emitted the pungent smell of death. I wanted to understand what it was like for a foreign climber coming to Australia back in the 80s and kind of what the climbing scene here felt like. Andy really drops us into it with his first experiences in Natimuk, drinking with the locals in the pub, getting shut down on Arapiles routes, and heading out to check out Taipan Wall for the first time with Malcolm Matheson. Andy ended up putting a few first ascents up on Taipan Wall, some you may have heard of, such as Rage, which is an alternate finish to Serpentine, and another little spicy number by the name of World Party. Andy gives us a bit of insight as to maybe why the bolts on that route feel so spaced apart. Finally, we get into Punks in the Gym, that iconic Australian route that Andy put about 44 days of effort into in his pursuit for the first true Red Point ascent. Andy details his battles with the route and why he restored the hold, which is now possibly the most famous, most notorious hold in Australian climbing, the Bird Bath. Immediately after sending the route, Andy gave away his climbing gear and left climbing behind for good. These days, Andy lives not far from me in Melbourne and he's built out a career in rope access work. We caught up a few weeks ago on a Saturday morning, so you'll hear a little bit of background noise where his neighbour unfortunately decides to get stuck into some weekend work with power tools. We pick up where Andy has hit the road with Jerry Moffat. For those of you who don't know, Jerry Moffat was a dominating force in climbing in the 80s and early 90s. When they both finished school, they hit the road for a crag called Tremadoc and dossed, or as we might call it, dirtbagged in a barn, living on 50p a day and climbing as much as possible. Let's get into it. Just after you guys finished high school, right? You went to Tremadoc. Traumatic.
Yeah, we had 6 weeks down there, living in the filth.
You were living in that barn. Can you tell us a bit about what that was like?
Well, it had been derelict for many years, and it was... there were loads of slate tiles missing, so you had to pitch your carry mat in the old hay, which had piles of donkey and cow poo in it. So we did a bit of a clear up, and we found these spots where we were sort of in between drips. And it turned out Jerry and I were about 6 inches apart because everything around was getting drip, 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 drip. And the rats the size of cats, scurrying around. There was one guy, Jerry recounts it in his book Revelations, of a guy that lost so much food that he slept with his block of cheese in his sleeping bag. And he woke up in the morning as a massive pair of teeth gnawing on his cheese. Get off.
You guys are like, I understand your diet was pretty Spartan. Like you were eating like just curry sauce and rice, essentially.
Yeah, curry sauce. it staggers me, Jackson, to be honest, how we found and got the energy to do what we did. I mean, I suppose, you know, you're just turning 17. You got the life ahead of you, no more school, and 50 pence a day. That was our budget. I didn't find out till Jerry's revelations came out that he was giving himself 70 pence. I mean, Jerry came from a wealthy background. I didn't. But unless his memory's a bit clouded, he states 70p. It was definitely 50p. I know it was 50 pence.
You guys are pretty motivated, given that you were willing to live in those kind of conditions and climb. It obviously meant a lot to you to be able to go climbing like that.
In a way, Jackson, it was quite luxurious. I mean, we'd previously slept in the women's toilet block down at the Avon Gorge in Bristol. We slept in the women's because they had hand dryers. So you're lying down, you reach up, boink, hit the button.
Warm up.
Nice big blast of warm air. So we did that. We slept in the old concrete lookout on the Great Orme. Stone cold floor, wind, howling, rain pelting down, bus shelters, hedges.
Wherever.
Yeah.
Just to go climbing.
You know, if it fell dark and you stood on the side of a road hitching and no one's picking you up, well, you'd hop over the fence. I remember sleeping once with some cows up near Malham. Don't know what they thought about me, but they're friendly enough.
Let's get back to the beginning. How did you discover climbing? Like, where did this passion start that would lead to you being, you know, on the road and living in those kind of circumstances just to go climbing? Where did it all begin?
Our school, Prestatyn High School, had an indoor climbing wall. Very rudimentary, just brick wall with some concrete blocks and some bricks sticking out, some pushed in. And one day we were warming up in the sporting hall to go outside in the snow and the sleet to play rugby. And there was a new teacher who'd arrived and he was traversing back across this wall. I didn't know it was called traversing, he was just climbing left, right. You know, about 2 inches off the floor. I'm thinking, why didn't he go up there? And I asked my sports master if I could go and try that. And he asked him, the other teacher said to my sports teacher, yeah, send him along. So I got to play on the wall while the others went outside and played rugby. And click, boink.
It was on.
I was absolutely just, I don't think I've had a metaphorical slap in the face as powerful. I just thought, this feels right.
Yeah.
And heck, I can do it. And I could do it virtually as well as the teacher, which was remarkable. I mean, again, I'm not, you know, this is no big-headedness. I found out I could do it.
Yeah.
I had the reach, I had the lightness of frame. Again, through years of climbing trees and scrambling up rocks, I had good balance. I could figure moves out before I did them. It was none of this slapping and hoping. It was like worked out, but sped up. So, you know, it was like 45 seconds from one end of the wall to the other. And the teacher was taking like 54 seconds.
Yeah.
And going, and I go,
yeah.
And after a few months of doing that, which I was allowed to do because our PE phys ed classes matched with his free lesson. So I got to go and play on the climbing wall. And then that developed into actually going out to the real rock.
Yeah.
and seconding V diffs and severes.
And you progressed, fairly quickly, right? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
Jerry and I both did.
Yeah, and to the point where you're kind of like, I guess, at the leading edge of UK climbing. What do you put that rapid progress down to?
I think the desire to improve. I mean, being genetically lucky or fortunate, having a slight build, good reach, just eating, dreaming, sleeping, climbing. Jerry and myself, in parallel, I was actually ahead of him by about 3 grades. Not many people have given Jerry Moffat tightrope on a grade 19. Or held his first fall on a 20. But we just tried hard.
Yeah.
We just tried. If we fell off, we try again.
Yeah.
And just kept trying and trying and trying and trying. Training for us was a few press-ups.
Yeah, okay.
Which is it anathema? You're doing something that's the opposite of pulling, thinking, I'm going to get really strong at pulling, and all you're doing is pushing. So you end up with these muscles here,
yep,
and nothing to pull on.
Yeah. Do you think maybe it was because you were so focused on climbing and you were doing it so often and you like kind of dedicated almost your entire life to it?
We did.
That you were progressing so quickly.
Once we left school, it's like anything. The best practice for climbing is climbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
there weren't indoor walls then. I mean, I've just contradicted myself because we had a vertical brick wall with, second joint holes. Yeah. That's not climbing wall, really.
No.
Not in the language we use now.
Yeah.
We just climb from dawn till dusk. Yeah. Have a cup of tea. Eric Jones, the legendary Eric Jones, dear man. He'd give us a free cup of tea. And, towards the end of the day, if there was a couple of buns left over, he'd go, here you go, boys. Take these. Get some food in. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, so looking back, what's one of the early climbs, I guess, that stands out to you in your memory that you did?
I would possibly suggest a climb on the Little Orme.
Yeah, okay.
Called Midnight Blues.
Midnight Blues.
Yeah, it's on the right-hand side of the Diamond Buttress. And the Diamond is one of the most remarkable bits of rock in the UK. It is stunning. The right-hand side's a bit scrappy. And I abseiled in there with a dear friend of mine called Peter Bailey. This was in December. My goodness me, it was cold.
It's cold.
And it's in the shade.
Yeah.
It was freezing. And we wrapped in, and the route had 5 aid points on it.
Yeah.
And here I am, 16 in fact, probably. Fluffy mo, Union Jack hat, Helly Hansen's, still shivering. Set up this thing, throwing birds' nests off and scraping guano. And got it, eliminated the 4 aid points. But I did use a bit of tension on the traverse.
Okay.
And then brought Pete up. And the top pitch was just minging. It was just slime and wet. So we prossicked out with little knots.
Yep.
But we...
Not Jumars, like prossicking out with friction knots. Yeah.
No, I mean, we were savvy enough to take 5mm cord prossic loops.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, what's an epic. We abbed in off some bent piton that Roland Edwards had put in 20 years earlier, and a sideways bloody chock. I think we only had camp or chouinard chocks. This is way before rocks. And then jogged back up the rope one after the other. One of these little knots.
Yeah.
So that was memorable.
It was memorable because of the why
sort
does it
of
stand out to
epic
you?
nature of it.
Yeah.
You know, you're abseiling into the unknown.
Yeah.
You couldn't walk around there because of the tide. You couldn't walk out.
Yeah.
Once you go in, there's only one way out.
You're committed.
Well, yes and no. We were committed in so much that the route was off to one side of the ebb rope, and that took a lot of dragging across, and you can't shout down, "Hey mate, swing us the ebb rope." There's no one down, there's just a bunch of seals watching you.
Yeah, true. I mean, that kind of bold climbing, I guess, and that putting yourself out there is something that I guess you're probably fairly well known for. One that stands out to me is that's early on is soloing the Great Wall. Can you tell us about that?
Great Wall is this beautiful sweep of white rock, and between it and around the corners there's a fairly steep arête, which is taken by a route called Quickstep. And to the left there's some roof problems. But the very bottom of Quickstep's really undercut. And it was just it was a boulder problem start to something that went up easy and stepped onto these holes. Mm. And I think John Redhead, got it first. And then Tim Freeman, then Jerry. And I'd never been able to do it. And one day I was just there with my friends were doing a route round the corner. So I went and I tried it a few times. I couldn't do it. And then I managed to do it. And the way down, you either go left and reverse this horribly polished hard VS, or you go round the arête and you traverse diagonally downwards across the base of Great Wall and step off. Well, I started traversing across, and literally, before I knew it, I was about 45 feet up Great Wall. Like, what am I doing here? And then this other lad, Keith Simpson, strolls round underneath. What the? Can you wait? I'll run around and get my camera. So the photographs that I've got about 4 prints. Not the best quality, but they are actually of that in live action. And I'd done the route 6 or 8 times, twice without falls at the top. So what on earth am I doing?
You're not roped up?
No, I was totally soloing.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy route.
No, probably about 24, 25 by Australian grade standards, yeah, E4.
Yeah, it would be in the order of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it, but it was only 18 months previously that Mike Owen, Tim Freeman and myself could not top rope it. We just kept falling off. So, fast forward 18 months, which is not a long time, really.
No.
I'm up there. No, I don't think anyone had ever even contemplated it.
You kind of accidentally got yourself into it.
Yeah, I just turned 18, and here I am. Keith Simpson took for flipping ever before he appeared in the bushes up at the top and said, "All right, yeah, I'm ready. I've got you focused. Are you ready to go?" I'm thinking, FFS. You've totally broken the flow, the style. Now I have to climb my way out of this. And it wasn't so much scary, but with the not the physical crux, but the most on-off move is right at the top. It's a layaway barn door thing.
So it's insecure.
Totally. I mean, there's one point where you're only on with your left hand and your right foot.
Yeah.
Because you're doing this barn door swing to catch this thing. Now, if you don't get that,
You're off.
you're off. And that's where I'd fallen off repeatedly on lead.
So the mental and physical crux is ahead of you.
Yeah, all the way, and I'm getting nearer and nearer to it. Keith didn't have a rope or anything to drop down. I could have stayed there and, for an hour till someone came and got me. But I thought, well, in for a penny, in for a pound. And that was the worst execution of that move I'd ever done, bar when I fell off. I barely hit the hold, really had to adjust, get my foot back on, bring the left hand across, crank like whatever for a sinker, and through to the top. It's like, oh my goodness me. I was literally millimetres from missing it. Yeah. It was a move I'd tried dozens of times when I used to work out on it for top ropes, and after I'd let it, I was still falling off on a top rope. So to be up there and you're 85 foot up with no ropes.
How did that affect you afterwards? Like, you pulled it off because you're here to have this conversation with me.
Did I survive? Yeah.
You survived that one. How did that change? How did that climb impact you, do you think?
I wanted to do more of it. Like the adrenaline. After, not so much during, afterwards, was just, I would imagine it's about as powerful as any synthetic drugs. I don't do synthetic drugs, but people have said, oh man, I was just flying high.
Yeah.
Well, I was, and this was on natural chemicals.
Let's go to probably maybe one of the next, or like a bit forward, and that's the bells. The bells.
Ooh.
That's a story I want to hear, because I know that it had a big impact on you, and you write about it fairly at length in your book.
Massive impact. It was the first legitimate E7 in Britain. I think, could be wrong, Ron might have given Hell's Wall in the Lakes E7, but that was very quickly dismissed. Or maybe he gave it 7A and it was dismissed. Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the bells, JR graded at E7. And he'd abbed it, he'd given it a brush, he'd had a look, he'd found, this little slot to whack in a peg that was more out than in. And but it took a very meandering line. And that rock, it's probably 85 degrees, leaning back, pretty white, crystalline, but it has a seagrass all over it.
Yeah.
It's very fuzzy.
Yep.
And it's very arid and dry, and you have to sort of wipe things.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm led to believe, because I wasn't there, but he was there with, it might have been Chris Shorter or somebody holding his ropes, I don't remember. But Gretel, John's partner, wife, whatever you want to call it, was sat on the top looking across. No idea that he was absolutely out there. He totally underestimated it. With a cursory look and a little wire brush here and a peg there. And amazing climber on that kind of territory. There was nobody better. You know, people talk about Johnny Dawes on grit or JR in that territory. Amazing. So, excuse me. It had, from memory, 4 top rope repeats.
Okay.
3 of those people that top roped it fell off. And I knew all 3 of them. They were darn good climbers from the Peak District, climbing E5 on limestone. 3 out of the 4 of them fell off the bells. Not through something snapping, because it is hard. There's a section that's hard. And nobody was game. And then one evening in the Padarn Lake Hotel in Berris, now who was it? It was, I think, no, it might have been Paul Pritchard, little Johnny Dawes, Nick Dixon. It was 2 of those 3, I think, had lowered in and top roped it successfully. And I heard murmurs of, you know, who's going to go for it? Because, you know, it's a coveted second ascent. And it had always been on my radar, but I've been off with a shoulder injury for 16 months. And I thought, no. When I got better, I got fit by doing a climb called Chimes of Freedom at Ravensor, freeing an old aid route, 13 days. That lasted, I think, 42 minutes till it got repeated. Because my mates like Basher and Leachy were working it with me and just holding off the red point.
Yeah, okay.
You know, which was good of them.
Yep.
Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So I got fit. And I hitchhiked down to Wales. I got a lift off a chap called Chris Craggs. And I'd arranged a lift back to Sheffield with him. And he told me in an email a few years ago now, 20 years after, that when he heard what I'd done in the day and then gotten back to where he was picking me up, he said, I didn't think I'd be taking him home. And it was, I've never been so pressed in my life as on that. I mean, the gear was rubbish.
Yeah.
And the crux sequence is sort of 2 moves towards the peg and a move and a half past
You can still see it in your mind now?
Oh yeah, I can replicate it. And it starts off this sort of reasonable standing position, and there's a flake up to the right, and it was moving. And I distinctly to this day remember asking the flake to stay put. I actually spoke. I said, look, please, just stay put. I'll trying to push it in as well as rip it off. Not rip it off, but pull it, and it was going. And I could see there was some little thing up there that I had no idea what it was. You just see a little ripple. And I put all my trust in that, and I bloody got it down to about here, and that wasn't too bad. And thought, thanks. I got something else. Did the next move. As I'm doing that move, the peg that sticks out about 3 inches, it went scratched across my tummy.
Yep.
And I then reached down and choked it with a little 4mm clip the beam in, pull the rope up. What people do now is ab down first, check it all out, leave a tape sling hanging on it, and claim an on-site.
Okay.
Or good on them. I'm not expecting or hoping or wishing anyone to die.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, I don't think it's had an ascent without
the pre-wrap in. And
Yeah. Because from the hold, it is humanly not possible to
clip.
to sling the peg,
sling the
or
peg.
even to clip the eye.
Yeah.
You'd be stupid if you did that.
You've got to move past it.
Well, I mean, people are so much stronger now.
Maybe.
They might be able to just go crimp and then do it halfway through, but I was using the strength I had, which was, pretty good, Peak District fingers. So I got through that, reached back down, clipped it, and then went up, and that's when it got really desperate, because I blew 2 fingertips.
As in, took the skin off the pads.
Sliced them on this really sharp edge, and they were just pumping blood. Now, I'm way above the pad, probably 18, 20 feet above the peg.
Above the peg.
Yeah.
And it's not a great peg.
No, rubbish.
Yeah.
Apparently it has been fallen onto, which surprises me, but
you didn't know that it was going to hold a fall. You weren't that confident.
I didn't think it'd hold your jacket if you hung it up on it, to be honest.
And you're 20 foot above that peg now.
About 18 feet above.
Okay.
And these 2 fingers just go, and because I'm pumped, the blood it's pumping out. You can see it going, reverse a few moves, and chalk, dab it on my tights, chalk. Mark, I've done my tips. Watch this, I might have to jump off. But I managed to cake enough chalk on and sort of get through and got to the top.
Yeah.
It was harrowing. There was nobody else around. There was nothing poor Mark Leach could do. And there's a bit of irony in that Bernard Newman and Jan, his wife, Bernard, the mountain editor and brilliant photographer, came strolling down the bluff to see what we're up to just as I was pulling over. 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes before, he could have got some historic shots.
Photos, yeah.
I mean, my right leg would probably have been blurred with the Elvis.
Yeah, the Elvis legs shaking out there like crazy.
Can you keep your legs straight? No.
You do mention that a distinct feeling on that route, like an acrid smell of death. This kind of is that the most out there that you think you've ever been?
I sensed a warm clamminess about my skin and little beads of sweat on my forehead, and there was this acrid scent, and it was coming out of my pores, and I describe it in the book, but I'm not over dramatising it or hamming it up. That is literally, I'm potentially minutes from going 80 feet onto the boulders. And I started getting clammy. And what's that smell? Oh, it's me. And I just equated that with fear.
Yeah.
And the body just goes, oh, where are we? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
I say I likened it to death is coming. Because I never smelt like that before. I've taken 60-foot falls, 90-foot falls.
Yeah.
But I've known you're just going like this through space, and there's a bolt or a bomb or nut. There, no. Totally different. And it was my body doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a major turning point.
Yeah.
I won't say it's the scaredest I've ever been. Or would I? Yeah, I probably would. I'd probably say it's the scaredest I've ever been.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not easily scared. I love the thrill of a good run out.
Yeah.
Even facing a whipper. Or you know, you might survive, you might not. On that, I had the option to back off. I could have backed off. I could have reversed from just below the peg all the way back to the ground. I thought, no. You know, I was that charged. And it was hard. It was a hard route. On site, unrepeated, you know, bar a few top ropes.
Yeah.
And doubtless some of the people that top roped it would have pulled off a little flake here, a little flake there, which is probably fortunate they did, rather than I came across them. But you're just windscreen wipering
the whole time.
trying to find and getting shit in your eyes and in your mouth. And,
Boulder climbing's something, obviously, that was a big part of your climbing. And, you know, in the kind of mid-'80s towards the late 80s, red pointing and this kind of French style was really coming out. And I know Jerry was spending time over there and bringing that to the UK. How did you feel about all of that, given the approach that you were taking with the boulder climbing?
I was dead set against it.
Yeah.
Now, to put it in time and place and context, 84 Hunter House Road, it was myself, Jerry, Chris Gore, Martin, Basher, Atkinson. Those three embraced it and went on to great things. And just were doing things that I couldn't do because I wouldn't adopt that style. I was still yo-yoing on limestone, and I was doing bold stuff. They would not come anywhere near a necky route. Chris Gore did once. He did third ascent of 0 on Suicide Wall. In fact, I think Jerry did too. Yeah, Jerry and then Chris did. Bar for that, no, they were just going down the dales. Bolt to bolt, bolt to bolt, bolt to bolt. Red point. They come back. 2 E7s today, and what did you do? Oh, I did an E6 on Go-Kart yesterday. Bah!
Why do you think that you didn't go with the flow of what they were doing? You know, given that you're in the same house as them and it's kind of like a group of people that you're really close friends with, most people just kind of go with the flow. Why not? Why didn't you?
I rallied against it.
Yeah.
Totally. My ethic was always ground up, do your best, give it your best shot on site. And I'm not saying they didn't, but the minute they fell off, be it at the first bolt or the penultimate, well, they'd just work it, pull the rope down. But I couldn't. I thought that was bringing something down to an inevitable end. I remember doing runs through Tequila Mockingbird on Cheadle, as in the drink. Tequila Mockingbird. Like play on words. Yeah, nice one, Ron. And Ron had obviously put his bolt in and 2 pegs. Or was it a bolt? No, 2 pegs, I think. And was intimately aware of, you know, pockets that you can't see from 2 foot below. And he did it over a couple of days, I think. In all fairness to him, it would have been one of the hardest routes in the country.
Yeah.
And it was hard, and it had some long run-outs. And yeah, I did a very early ascent of that, about third or fourth, maybe fifth, sixth, I don't know. And then Mark Pretty, Zippy, I think it was, put 5 bolts in it. It was either that or Simon Nadin's route to the side. Retro bolted it.
Yeah.
And there were just queues. There were just people going, you know, bolt to bolt, bolt to bolt, bolt to bolt. Red point. You know, loving the quality and the movement and everything. And I'd be stood there going, nah. And I stuck to my guns and was just falling further and further behind as the guys got better through this technique and super hard routes that we used to work to death and yo-yo were just falling like 10 pins.
Australia. At some point, you decide to come down here. Your friends in the UK, they're going to Europe. They're going to the US, right? And you come to Australia. Why Australia?
Well, do we thank or do we blame Glenn Robbins for that? I don't know. It's half-half. Glenn was at our house. We'd moved from 84, that had disbanded. So I was living with a chap called Nick Plishko, very, very underrated and accomplished climber. And our mate Yorick. And Glenn was round to say goodbye before he flew back. He said, why don't you come down? Well, you know, I'd seen pictures of Arapiles, Arapiles, and, you know, a couple of pictures of the Grampians. I'd seen Serpentine with Jeff Wiegand making the second ascent, and adverts of HB climbing on double ropes.
Yep.
Double ropes on Daniel Law Tiger. Yeah, so, you know, my ears pricked up when Glenn said that. If memory serves me right, it was very early on in the new year. So it was peeing down, it was freezing cold, but it was going to be boiling hot down in Australia. So I bought a ticket, got my visa, and flew down. And Glenn and Nick White from Devon, who I'd never met, he was a protagonist of New Routes down in Devon, picked us up at the airport and we got a lift to Natty. I was really, really looking forward to meeting this beast of a man.
HB.
Yeah, who I'd read about for years in the mags.
Yeah.
Seen photos of. And he's just, you know, this... And then we hear the roar of this car, and Lou says, do you know what that is? I said, whatever it is, it's bloody loud. That's H. And he's souped up Tirana with his turbocharged engine. And he comes walking around the corner with his songs, and he's about 7 inches shorter than me. We hit it off from the split second we met. It was a really, really beautiful moment. You know, I held him in regard. He held me in regard. And throughout that and the next 2 trips we climbed virtually solely together, there was always this super competitive undercurrent
between you and HB. Yeah.
But super, super friendly.
Yeah.
And he said to me that first meeting, he said, go and do a few routes, acclimatise, And then on Thursday or Wednesday, whatever it was, 2 days later, I'll take you out to the Grampians. I'll point you at two of my latest routes. They're both 26. I'm thinking, well, you know, I'm in for... I failed on a 20 the first day.
Yeah.
Took 2 falls on a 21 the next day. And had tightrope on a 22 the third day. I didn't get it. This is up in Central Gully with Louise and Glenn. This isn't climbing. This is like somehow getting from there to there using holds on the rock, but I didn't get it.
The rock was different to like what you'd experienced before? Or?
I just couldn't do it. I got pumped out of my brain 5 feet up. And I'm thinking, hang on. I've climbed up to E9 at home and I'm falling off E1/2 down here.
Yeah.
What, with a bolt in front of my face? What? No, I don't. I've never quite understood what it was. They weren't sandbagging me. There weren't 24s and 25s that they said, oh, that's 20 and that's 21. They're in the guidebook as that. No. So anyway, after 2 or 3 days, I think the first route I did there was Masada, which is given 30. And I smashed that second day.
So the struggle was short-lived. I mean,
very short-lived. I think I was just jet-lagged and probably still pissed, to be honest. And I shouldn't have been climbing with a cigarette in my mouth anyway, but that's another story. So I did Masada, and then I did a first ascent called Natty Dread on Castle Crag.
Yeah, that's near Procol Harum, yeah?
Yeah, just to the right. It goes through this break in the roof. That was hard. That was hard, actually. And I then went and did it again for TV. Because Keith Lockwood, Noddy, who was the editor of the Wimmera Mail Times, he had me on the front cover of the local paper that came out the day before I arrived. Famous climber to visit, which I thought was sweet and charming. And it got even better. First ever night, National Hotel Natty. I walked in. Pink lycra tights.
I can imagine that went down interestingly.
Yellow vest. 3 great big shearers leant on the bar with their pots. It was like the scene from American Werewolf, you know, where they walk in and the piano stops and everyone turns around. And these guys looked round at me and looked me up and down. Goat, are you, mate? Goat. One of them mountain goats. I said, oh, well, I could be. And I'd previously met Trevor and Robin Smallercombe, the owners. Now, these 3 shearers, they proceeded to rip into me like you would not believe. In a really sort of, in a funny way, they were just ripping shreds out of me. And so I shouted them all a beer. I said, do you guys want a beer? Shit, yeah, mate. And I drank them under the table. 3 big, hard-working shearers. I had them to the point they could not drink anymore. And I was going, Trev, another one, please. And we all loved each other at the end of the night. They go, you're good. In for a pom. And I go, you're all right. It was lovely.
You managed to win them over.
Oh, totally. But we were talking climbing, weren't we?
But, I mean, that's, I guess, an element of climbing that you wouldn't see very often these days. You're not seeing people who are climbing at the limit, who are going and knocking back pints at the pub the night before, smoking
very much doubt it.
cigarettes and climbing. Why do you think you're able to maintain that lifestyle where you could do that and you could climb at such an elite level at the same time?
I can only put it down to genetics and desire to perform, I suppose. I genuinely don't know. I guess I'm blessed and very fortunate. I mean, I will end up today, I will probably have close to 30 bottles of beer. And I'll be up tomorrow morning bright as a button. I don't suffer hangovers. In the morning, it's gone. Boink.
Oh, well, let's get back to
the climbing,
HB, yeah? And HB, and you acclimatise to the heat, and HB's all right, let's go climbing together. Where do you go?
And he took me for a joyride in the Tirana, HB 513. How we got round at some of those corners just defies all the laws of physics. But he lowered the suspension, he had wide, super grippy tyres and knew the road like the back of his hand. What I always thought he didn't know was when the next kangaroo's going to jump out. We took this one bend and it was just like... It was over in a flash. He's taken me to the Grampians. He's done 2 new routes recently. One on the way to Hollow Mountain called the Hamster Roof. Little overhang thing. Only a short route. Obvious line. I think it one runner in it, maybe 2.
Yeah.
And he said, it's a rock 5, curve side left. I can see where it goes. So, I had beta. This is before beta was even involved. But he handed me the rock 5, so curve face left. On-site flash. Beautiful. He goes, it was impressive. So, good route, H. He said, right, I got one for you. Let's go to Taipan. Oh, I've been waiting for this. First sight of Taipan Wall. We're coming over from Hollow Mountain where you see it down that gully.
Yeah.
Through that gully.
Yeah, through the gully.
That way. And I was like, I couldn't, get out of the way. I couldn't wait to get over there. And he'd recently put up a route, Sirocco. I think he called it. I think. And 26 again. And he goes, And Steve Monks, who I knew from Bristol years earlier, was at the bottom beeling on an adjacent route. And Monksy goes, oh, you just flashed Hamster Roof, well done. You won't flash this. I'll bet you don't. Up it like a rat up a pipe, but very lucky.
Yeah.
Because the crux is a dyno, which I can dyno my whole body length actually, which is ridiculous. But you're dynoing for this sort of...
Like a rail?
Yeah, it's like a ledge, but you don't know where the good bit is. And loads of people have tried, so there's slap marks, there's chalk marks all the way along it, and I just leapt. And I overleapt so that in the millisecond I could bring my hand down and go like that before I shot past it.
Yeah, so you could work out where it was mid-air.
And we're talking microseconds here.
Yeah.
And I just launched, and went, boom,
Stuck it.
stuck it. It's a pass after that. I looked down at Monks and go, what do you make of that, Steve? He spent 3 days trying it.
So they throw you on any other stuff?
I think Serpentine was next.
Yeah. Did you get the second ascent of that?
No, third.
Third.
Jeff Wiegand did the second ascent. But yeah, I did that with one fall. And then went through to the top without falling off. And went back the next day. My gear was in place. It wasn't, a perfect ascent.
Mm.
But again, in the day, what a route. What a route. By far the best climb. Certainly the top half. The lower half I wasn't a big fan on.
Mm.
But the top half. And what a position. But it always avoided the main turret. And I had my eye on that for 3 years. Nobody bothered.
Yeah.
So in my last trip I came back and did that. I called it Rage, which was 2 grades harder than Serpentine.
Yeah.
Just went whew. And then it got downgraded 3 grades, which sucks. 31 down to 29. And so Serpentine, 31. Now it's 30. Now it's 29. This grade compression,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just an ego trip by people. But at the time, Jerry always used to maintain this. He said things are only hard in the context of when they were done. We can have things done 10 years later that are 10 levels ahead. But don't put the squeeze on that.
Mm.
That was the hardest route in the world at the time. That's his revelations.
Mm.
Antoine soloed it.
Mm.
I mean, again, it's not much higher than this building.
Yeah.
But it's hard.
Yeah. What was it like? What was it like living in Araps and the scene there? And
It was luxury for me because I'd met a wonderful old chap called Neil Douglas, I think his name was. He was a local elderly chap, artist, painter. And he owned a caravan that you could sleep, I suppose, 7 people in. He very kindly offered me use of the caravan, as long as I could get it towed out there, and the rent was as much cups of tea as he wanted whenever he came round, which was regularly, and it was about 14 cups of tea. So, it didn't come free.
yeah.
But yeah, I slept in this caravan with gas lighting,
Yeah.
gas cooker, gas fridge, double bed, different friends of the opposite gender on occasion,
And just go climbing.
and climb all day and drink all evening.
The namesake of your book,
Yes, indeed. The
Punks in the
bane
Gym.
of my life, yes.
that's a route that you dedicated a lot of energy and time to. But what attracted you to that route?
It was hard. It had only ever had 2 ascents, Wolfie obviously, and Stefan Glowacz. But it had never been red pointed.
So they had both done it in yo-yo style?
Yeah.
Or? Okay.
And now there's conjecture as to whether they lowered to the ground or there's a rest below the crux.
Okay.
And you fall off the crux all day.
Yeah.
Get down today, you put a knee bar in, you can take your hands off.
Yeah, okay.
And you don't have to do, what's a pretty stiff section to get back up. Yeah. I mean, Wolfie, I climbed with him a few times, and nicest man on the planet. One of the saddest losses to humanity, not just to climbing. Lovely, lovely guy. But in terms of his climbing, he was a freak of nature. He could pull on things that other people couldn't with their feet on. He was just amazing and great technique. And he was a short-statured fella and very muscular in the upper body. You would think that that's incongruous. It's like we were talking earlier, perhaps before we were recording, about a couple of bodybuilding friends. Wolfie looked like he was
a bodybuilder.
Yet, doing curls and things. He just had the arms. He had the finger strength, the technique, the skills. He had all the requisites. But again, the ethics of the day in 1985 were yo-yo. And if there was a place where you could take your hands off for a moment, that counted.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying they did that. I don't know. I wasn't there. On my 6th day, I got 2/3 of the way up the head wall.
After the crux?
Yeah, through the crux. And my left foot popped, which shock-loaded 2 middle fingers on my right hand, and there was this awful crack.
The sound of the pulley going.
And as I was falling through the air, I was going, ow, ow. And I'd ripped 2 tendons, just because my foot went.
Yeah.
I was like from here to there, to the belay. First red point. And then after that, well, I didn't go back on it that trip. I flew back to the UK, worked for 3 months, came back, not climbing fit, loads of money, fingers still a bit sore. Second day back on, refamiliarising.
Again.
Rocking onto the crux hold, sheared it off. And then it just kept breaking and breaking and breaking. I mean, there's photos in there of before and after. And you can clearly see it's gone from that to this 3-finger gravelly sloper. Every time I got through the crux and put my foot on to rock over, you'd pop a
little bit more.
Remember boxer matches?
Yeah.
The red tip?
Yeah.
It'd be like that much would break
just
off.
chip off. Little bits at a time.
Just tiny bit.
Yeah.
And so, 44 days, which sounds ridiculous. A day might be one quick try.
Yeah.
15 minutes. It's not a day. But 44 different occasions. And, after the 28th, when the thing really did just give up the ghost, I rebuilt it back to what I thought was original.
Yeah.
With Seeker.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's much bigger, it's better than it ever was. And
yeah.
But the route is there and has now had 40 ascents. It was not a route for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can always say, Adam Ondra or somebody would do it. Why have something that's, 9C plus, 10B plus, that gets 1 ascent in its life? So, I'd invested 28 days in it and 2 flights. And I was buggered if I was going to, because I knew my climbing was coming to an end. and I wanted to go out with that. So I came back a third time. The Sika was there all the time. Didn't hear a peep. Dozens of people trying it, top ropes. Still, nobody did it. So we were still there for the taking, the red point. And I was in my garage with Jerry and Ben and Mark Leach. And Jerry goes rather cocky. Do I have to come down there and show you how to do it? I know how to do it. I just can't do it. Yet. 2 weeks later, Jerry, I get a phone call via the post office from Jerry. Can you pick me up at the airport? Yeah, of course. Shit. I'm on a rest day and I'm thinking, don't rest. Go on. You've got to make the first red point because the minute he gets it, he'll just go, whoosh. What's all the fuss about? And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I had, I think, 4 or 6 maybe more days of 2 or 3 tries on it. Picked Jerry and Sean Miles up from the airport. They came out, did a couple of routes. And Jerry said, right. I said, yes, please. Can you give me 2 more days, please, Jerry? The conditions were perfect. It cooled down. There was a breeze. I mean, you know, we've been climbing since we were 16. We're now 28, 29. He said, well, I said, no, that's unfair of me. If you feel ready and psyched, go for your life. Went up, fell off. Went to the top, went back next morning, fired it. And then this guy Marco did. And then Sean Miles did. And they left the Raps with my girlfriend to drive to Sydney and left me at the bottom of the gravel where the phone box is on the road.
The little Telstra phone box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I stood there and just, the tears welled up. There's Lindy, my girlfriend, giving Jerry and Sean a lift up to Sydney. They'd flown in. Punks, couple other things. See you, Andy. See ya. I think I did it 2 days later. No, the next day. That's right. I was so upset. I went and camped on my own up in the scrub. Top of Central Gully. Took a few long necks. Roped myself off. Came back down in the morning. Mine just went. Did it. It was a mental thing. I just kept falling off the same place. Apart from the hold breaking and all that.
Yeah.
I just kept falling off. You know, my warm-up would be just about my best attempt of the day.
Yeah.
I knew that's what I in a way, if I got fit and grew my skin back, I think I could do that route again now at my age.
Yeah.
You know, it might take a week or 2. Sticky boots.
Yeah. Good rubber.
Yeah.
So you finished that route and famously that was it for you. You just walked away from climbing.
Yeah. That was it. That I'm done. Right, finish.
How did you feel when you clipped the top on the route? What was the emotion?
Relieved. Thank you, God. There was no discernible sense of satisfaction or accomplishment or achievement. To be quite honest, I felt embarrassed because 3 others had come in and within 5 days had gone point. First red point, second red point, third red point. and this is my third trip, my 44th day, a day being half a dry to 3 dries, over 3 years, and probably, well, definitely thousands of dollars in flights. So it was with much relief, and when I lowered down, I just untied. Thanked Robbie Le Breton, who held my ropes and shouted encouragement. Good lad, good climber too, Rob. Went back to my caravan, threw everything out on the dirt. That was it.
When you look back on climbing, kind of the legacy that you've left there with climbing, what kind of emotions does that stir up with you? How do you feel about it?
How did I get away with that? I never did it free. What do you mean? No, seriously. I look back with no regrets, with a degree of pride in being ethical, and also with an awful lot of fortune for being right time, right place. I was thinking about this just the other day, actually. Just mentally running through some of the first ascents and first 3 ascents I did. Arch enemies in Dovedale. Just ridiculous. Why Ron Fawcett hadn't done it first defies any logic. Thorman's Moss. Arguably the best 8A in the Peak, one of the best in Britain. Okay, it's only dry once in a blue moon, but still when it is. Hollow Man, lauded as by far the finest route on North Stack. Skinhead Moonstomp. That even got mentioned just 2 weeks ago on UKC. Britain's best E6s. Skinhead. It's in there. They're things that leave their mark. So yeah, I'm very, very happy about those. I mean, there's loads of other little things as well. But Knocking, Hollow Man, Chimes of Freedom, Whore of Babylon, which got laughed down. Unjustly, in my view.
Here in Australia, you've got Natty Dread, Rage.
Natty Dread, Rage, Sport Crack. That's a laugh. Probably barred now. 5 bolts in a perfect Friend 2 crack. Actually soloed it on Friends to put the bolts in, just to make a point. Contentious. Yes, I was non-compos mentis in Natimuk for a few weeks there. But then HB went out and did it. Simon Wentz did it. Pete Croft did it. They all go, that is the most fun I've had in ages. Did some other things, I think. Oh, yeah. What's it called? One up the groove. Flipping World Party.
World Party.
Yeah.
A very popular route.
Have you done that?
I haven't done it, but it's popular.
Top pitch is out there. It's like out there. And it's sportingly bolted. Because I thought, I know there's going to be a queue of people after me. Let's give them something to go for. And I deliberately put the bolts, like 10 inches higher. Even with my reach, I deliberately put them out of reach. Just to spice it up a bit. Because it's, for those who can't see, I'm holding my hand at 45 degrees. It's very steep. If you take a lob, it's just like boing into thin air. but it makes you think. And you're going to take a 30-footer.
Yeah.
You know, if it had been like move, clip, it just would have been boring. Because it wasn't hard enough. You see, it's not hard. It's just out there. So how to make it a bit more, how to spice it up, or space the bolts. Father Oblivion, cements. I wrapped that, put a bolt in it, I think. Oh no, way too easy. I don't want to be named for putting the easiest route on Taipan. I said, Si, come on, up you go, son. He spent days on it, but did it. And I was still desperately hungover. I couldn't even follow it. I failed to top rope it. Having, you know, just waltzed up it with a Juma. But, so that's a good one. Other than that, there's probably a few I might have forgotten about. But again, you know, time and place. Very fortunate. You know, taking all the bans and talk of widespread bans aside, you can't now walk up to Taipan where it's only got 8 routes. It's probably got 28 routes on it now. When I was there, I repeated all the routes on the cliff and then started plucking lines. So that come from scrappy limestone quarries like Stony Middleton in the Peak District to Taipan Wall. And H, what's that crack? Not been done. What's that array? Oh, maybe one day. But surely, that ramp. These are lines that you know, if you put them in a raffle and they're held, anyone around the world, you get hundreds of thousands of dollars towards a conservation fund. You know, we're raffling off this new route. But no, I knew 18 months before I finally dragged my little scrawny arse up punks that the heart wasn't in it.
Yeah.
In it. So the last trip, the frustration and sadness was mitigated in that I did Daniel Ortega, which I'd failed on previously. First ascent of Rage, and 2 days later Punks. So, you know, those are 3 things very dear to me in that sense. They mean nothing now in my life, but, you know, to be able to put the cap on, I don't like using the word career, but I can't think of an alternative. Call it a career. I suppose it was a career. I was semi-pro. But to cap it off with those 3 things, and when I look back to the first V-diff chimney I top roped with my school teacher, from there to there, North Wales, Australia. Easiest climb in the country, you know, people walk down it. Hardest climb in the Southern Hemisphere, pretty much, at the time. I thought, yeah, come a long way, son. Bye. Anyone buy some boots? You know, boxes of boots, unwrapped, ropes. So, yeah, it was a wild ride.
That's it, Australia. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Andy for sharing his stories with us for the podcast. If you want to read more about Andy and his climbing life, you can pick up his book, Punk in the Gym, published by Vertebrate Publishing. Also, head over to thelayback.com, where I've shared a range of other interviews with Andy, as well as some climbing photos from his personal collection. To stay up to date with the podcast, head over and like us on Facebook and Instagram. Maybe give us a bit of a review on iTunes, and send me a note if you like what you're hearing, or if you've got some suggestions for podcast topics or people that you might want to hear interviewed. To take us out, here's a clip of Andy being interviewed for Channel 9 back in the 90s in Arapiles.
For Englishman Pollitt is a professional rock climber, and every summer he comes here to Mount Arapiles in Western Victoria to become king of a great natural castle, high above and far away from the dirty rascals of suburbia.
This whole area is some of the best rock climbing in the world for sure. It's recognised as that right there around the globe. All the climbers would love to come to Australia, and the climate and the people are friendly, and the rock is just perfect, absolutely perfect for climbing.
What makes a perfect rock? What characteristics?
The quality, it's very, very hard, rough rock. You don't get lots of bits breaking off it, and it's clean, and it's nice to feel, and it's nice to move over it when you're climbing. And some of the features, the big red walls you get out here, things we just don't have in Europe. Yeah, when I'm not climbing over at the rock there, I like to come out here and practice the didgeridoo, as we are in Australia.
Andy Pollitt plays a piece of plastic downpipe better than most. Although the fellow who sold him his didgeridoo may be having a laugh, you can't help feeling this man laughs loud and long every day of his life.